It's intoxicating being the black person that white people approve of. And I know this because that's how I grew up. Being the black person that white people approved of and being deathly afraid of losing that approval. White people, after all, have the most power in the US. They have most of the money and most of the influence. By and large, black people have been at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder since we were brought here in chains. That inferiority thing can hit you hard if you don't have a strong support system around you to remind you of your inherent value and beauty and worth, and if you're not taught the truth about our history and the impact of the unjust systems that create inequality. You can start to believe the lie that there's something inherently wrong with you, with your people. That's why black folks are fully capable of perpetuating anti-blackness. It starts with believing the lie taught to us by white supremacy, that we are by nature brutish and savage and deeply in need of civilizing. And that's what whiteness offers, the promise of that much-needed civilizing force, at which point, ostensibly, we'll become acceptable to them and we'll finally be welcomed into polite society with open arms. This oftentimes is at the root of black conservatism, and I'll admit it can be deeply angering to witness, although I was raised around a lot of black conservatives. Black conservatives can be just as vicious, if not more vicious, than white racists, because they can get away with saying things about black people that closeted white racists can't. People like Clarence Thomas, Candace Owens, Thomas Sowell, Tim Scott, and Kanye have made a name for themselves in toxic conservative circles by telling a particular group of white folks exactly what they want to hear. That systemic racism is a myth, that black people whose free labor fueled the economy for hundreds of years are essentially lazy and just want handouts, and that we need a return to the good old days where black people didn't complain so much. And this strategy, by and large, has worked for them. They get to experience the intoxication of white approval while being treated to yacht trips by well-connected billionaires and earning copious amounts of money by parroting white supremacist talking points. I mean, what's the downside? A certain segment of white America will always need black mouthpieces to say what they would sound racist for saying. It's lifelong job security. There have always been black conservatives, to be sure, but this new breed seems to exist solely for the purpose of downplaying the effects of racism on behalf of their conservative overlords. It's a dirty business whose primary purpose is to create a counter-narrative to a growing racial awareness and to provide cut-and-paste talking points to internet trolls, or maybe just your totally not racist uncle. Black folks peddling white supremacy to win white approval will always be big business, as long as those in power have something to gain from it. That's why it's important to remember that just because a black person said it doesn't mean it's not anti-black. Stay woke.